What's up, party people? Welcome back to another episode of Party XP in person.
Yes.
I'm your host, Jeff, and joining me in his home is Lakan. Say hi, Lakan.
Me. 3 minutes in the ring with me.
Hopefully it's not 3 minutes, because I think people are sitting down for a... If this movie is a 3-minute recap, something went horribly wrong.
Yeah. You just skip all the heavy details.
I was thinking of things that we could talk about here, and I realized that we didn't do John Wick 4, so I'm like, we should do John Wick 4. Before I forget, while we're on the topic of John Wick 4, this is the USB drive that has nothing on it whatsoever. There's nothing on this.
Really?
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Oh yeah, absolutely nothing.
Because we watched John Wick. I rented it on Amazon.
Yeah, and I think it was on Netflix at one point.
Right, and Hulu, and
Tubi,
Crunchyroll,
and yeah,
Shudder. It's on all of them.
On Skinamax.
Yeah, that's where it was.
Yeah,
and nowhere else whatsoever. But
legally acquired.
Right. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because this is... I've been talking with a few other friends in a different Discord that I'm in, and I'm like, do these movies get better every time?
Yeah.
Like the next one is better than the last?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how the hell, like, how does it happen? I don't know. But I figured we'd talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are thrilled. If you haven't already, go watch these movies. I mean, like, I have an excuse. No, I don't. But still, like...
I did have to force you to watch the first
I
one,
was busy.
technically.
I was busy.
Yeah, you were being a dad. It's fine.
Right. I was busy. These movies are like the best. I can't possibly think of another series that you should get invested in. And again, like, usually the sequels are worse. And in this series is one of like the only ones where the sequels are better. So like, if you're not watching it, I don't know what you're doing.
There's big praise right there.
Yeah.
Big praise. I love the John Wick series. Again, I got Jeff into it in the first place. I got into it late, right? I got into it technically like after like a year after 2 came out. Then I committed. I was like, I'm down this rabbit hole. This is amazing.
It's great.
I want just this raw action movie. And it's exactly what you wanted, right? You just wanted a raw action movie. You didn't have to care about the plot. It's just good cinematography, good stunt work, all the good stuff basically.
And it's also like a love letter. And we'll talk about the names and stuff that pop up here. But it has been a love letter to action films of the past, based on the cameos and the actors that you see in these films, right?
Yes.
So let's get started. We open in the desert where John Wick is on horseback shooting at Arab men on horses. Because of course, right?
Yeah.
Because of course in the series it opens on horseback in the Arabian desert.
Yeah. This is basically like a Western, like, you know what I mean? It's like, because we get a little bit of the Western love from John Wick 3, right? Him building the gun, you know what I mean? Good and the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And then here, it's basically just like, it's like a horse chase in a Western. It's great,
of course. And it's just like par for the course with this series. It's just the most like crazy shit.
Yeah.
And of course, it starts the movie, right? So he kills them, and then he approaches the new elder of the High Table, played by Giorgio.
Yeah. They changed it. I was like,
and they have like a brief conversation, and the High Table elder is like, "Is this gonna give you what you want?" And he's like, "What is it, like? I don't know," or something like that. He's like,
yeah.
He's like, "I'm not sure," and then just ices him anyway.
Yeah. He's like, all I wanted back was my ring.
Right.
That's all I cared about.
Yeah, that's all he wanted. And suffice to say, he does not get his ring back, and so he makes the new elder pay by shooting him a few times, and it cuts to the intro.
Yeah, just a single shot to the head, just in a brutal drop. You know, kind of just like a frame, see his dead body go limp. Like, oh, cool, we're in.
Yep. So now it cuts to the new primary antagonist, Bill Skarsgård, who plays Marquis Vincent de Gramont.
Bonjour.
The Marquis.
Baguette.
Somehow he played a character least likable than a clown that eats children.
Yeah, like Bill Skarsgård kills it in this role, and by that I mean I hate him so much in this movie. But that's exactly what we want.
Right,
he's so good.
Yeah, he really is. So, because he's now the new head of whatever, he brings Winston and Charon to. Are they in? I forget. Are they in the New York Continental? Right, he shows up at the New York Continental.
I believe he's like a messenger guy first initially, right? Who left initially comes to the Continental, tells them they're being requested by the High Table. Then they go to the building where essentially it's like the High Table headquarters, basically.
Right. It's like adjacent to the New York.
Yeah,
building,
like you could see it basically.
Right, because of what happens now. So, because he let John Wick fart on somebody's balls. Because of course that's what all this shit is about, these stupid rules. The Marquis strips Winston of his title as manager of the Continental, demolishes the building, and then shoots Charon and kills him dead.
Yeah.
And so Winston has his identity and his only like friend left taken from him.
Yes. And this hits really hard still, right? Because obviously Lance Reddick did pass away in the same year that the movie came out.
Yep.
Very, very devastating. And then we see like an on-screen death. It's like, oh my.
Yeah.
It's almost as if like
they knew.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. It's still very sad. I'm still upset about it. But yeah, no. Again, we have like a touching scene of them actually legitimately calling him like his like actual friend, not just a subordinate or an employee of his.
Yeah, that's his friend.
Yeah.
And so this kind of again pushes that ball a little forward as to the plot of the film. John is still on the run. He is still excommunicado. He lived the fall off the building in the third movie.
Yes.
After Winston shot him, some friend, right?
All part. Remember again, it was a plan, and they were in play.
Part of the plan. Yeah, it was all part of the plan. John, of course, now finds himself in Japan because he knows everybody.
Yes.
Because they're all friends playing the same game. And he runs into his old friend Shimazu Koji, who runs the Japanese Continental in Osaka.
Yeah, and played by Hiroyuki Sanada. I popped hard in the theater for this.
You're familiar with his work?
Yeah, he's basically, imagine every like Japanese samurai movie.
Okay.
He's the dude.
Oh, cool.
And he also showed up in a bunch of like American movies. Like he was in The Last Samurai. I believe he was in 47 Ronin.
Okay.
Was that 47 Ronin or 47 Samurai? Basically,
Ronin, I think it was.
Yeah, the Western remake of the old Japanese story, basically. And I was like, yeah, this dude's everywhere if you follow any sort of like Japanese samurai media.
Right. So John shows up and he's like, "Ah, shit. What are you doing here? Get out, go sit on this like veranda outside of the Continental because I don't want them to see you in here because I know they're going to show up, of course.
Yes.
Because everybody has the sixth sense in this bitch." And naturally, the high table's enforcers show up along with a deadly assassin, Kane, a former friend of John's who is forced into service to protect his daughter.
Yes.
Get it? Kane. But he's blind.
Blind man. Yes.
So he's the Kane.
I understand. I understand where you're leading here.
Get it?
Kane. Damn it. Kane is played by Donnie Yen. Another big pop for me. I mean, like, I don't recall in the trailers if they showed either one of them.
Probably not.
But I also remember before going into John Wick 4, I refused to watch any trailers. I didn't watch any commercials. I didn't watch the trailer. All I knew was, oh, sweet, this is supposedly the last movie of the series.
Right.
And we get a little bit of backstory as well too for like Kane getting basically roped back in. Clearly, he's got his own situation with the high table and the organization. And basically, Koji does offer John his protection. Yeah. Right. He drops like a really bomb line. He's like, what is it? It's like French. Like, it's not truly friendship if it's convenient or something like that. I was like, oh, that's a bomb line, bro. I'm gonna get that tattooed on my ass, bro. I need that as a message to my friends.
Right.
Like, that's a sick. That's like, no, for real. It was like they've always got like some big like with this movie. Like you said, you expect it to be cheesier, right? I remember as you started the movie series, but like everything, like because they play it so straight. I'm kind of like in, right? Even with the goofiness of it, with John farting on people's balls.
Yes, you're in.
Like in the second movie, right? The catacombs, where it's like it looks like a video game, right? You know, like he's literally in cover, he has weapons prepped everywhere. That is like a video game sequence, but we're like, it plays it so straight that you're committed to the bit and you're kind of along for the ride.
And although like the rules, and we'll talk more about rules here in a little bit, and all this other dumb shit that they do, but they take it so seriously that you like. You buy in. Yeah. That it's like, of course there's a blood marker when they want to make deals with each other and they're like bound to it. Yeah. Of course that's a thing here.
Any other movie does this, it feels very like contrived and you're like, oh, okay. Right. You gotta roll your eyes. But here I'm like, blood marker. What does it mean? What does it do? Tell me more. I need more of the lore. Right. So we introduced to Assassin Kane, who is a blind man who is supposedly essentially kind of like teased or like alluded to being John's equal. Yeah. Even while blind. We actually get to see the start off of the action here. And this is the first like big like action scene, right? We get our first big action scene. A brutal fight breaks out all throughout the hotel. Yeah. with Koji's daughter Akira. Also, she has a cool reveal, right? She underneath her kimono, just full on battle suit,
right? Like Hawkeye, basically
always,
looks like
always ready, basically,
right.
Yeah, played by Rina Sawayama. I knew her as a musician. I didn't realize she was an actress. Basically assisting John, and the battle sees John fighting armored high table assassins led by Chidi, played by Marco Zaror, built like a brick shithouse by the way, like it's a fucking unit. With guns, swords, nunchaku in an extended, visually stunning experience. Koji soldiers use bows and arrows, right? So again, Koji, the head of the Japanese Continental, possibly because of the bulletproof suits.
That's what I thought. Like I was just like that kind of makes sense.
That was my assumption as well too. Yeah.
Yeah, they all have bulletproof suits, so it can pierce, the bullets, the bulletproof suits. So.
I have a note here.
Or it's just like, of course, they have fucking bows and arrows and samurai swords and shit.
Yeah.
Because, of course.
We're Japan. You got to do it.
Right, of course. Because they haven't evolved to use guns and, other weapons.
It's about tradition. Okay? Right. It's about tradition and bulletproof armor suits that clearly the samurai had as well.
Right.
I have a note here that I really want to point out. So this is like a long fight, fight sequence. There's a lot of action, a lot of cutting back and forth between two different fronts, essentially, right? In the main lobby, and then Akira and John getting ambushed outside on the balcony of the Japanese Continental. So again, we see the high table assassins, right? Like the regular. So we have the regulars and the dudes in like the armor, like that we saw from John Wick 3, the elite guys, basically, and just with like a bit of like a Japanese flair, right? They have like an oni mask or a ninja mask on there. They look like they're wearing like the ninja pants, you know what I mean? The ones that are kind of a little bit tighter around the shins. And again, the rest of the high table suits have adopted the bulletproof suit, which John set up in 2. Yeah. So I guess like everyone kind of got caught word of like, oh, this is a legitimately cool setup because we can't kill John. Right. Why don't we all do it? Right. And it's funny because now it's like holding your coat up to your head basically has become a standard in 3 and 4 especially.
Right. Like, when you get caught in the rain in a suit and you like kind of put your jacket up over your head and you run.
Yeah, but this one's for bullets.
Right. Well.
It feels like when you're doing like a laser tag fight. You have the vest, right? For the laser tag. You always have to cover it, so if you're trying to cheat a little bit.
Right, because these are all just kids playing games.
Basically, again with all these rules. Again, and it just adds to the shot count of these fights, right? We get really long extended sequences of John dumping like an entire 21 round magazine into one dude because he's got a bulletproof mask on and he's like he has to like knock him against the wall,
hold his head up, shoot him in the neck
or something, into one little break of the armor. And like these are like brutal fights basically, and they just go for forever. And I think it's it definitely alludes to like a thing of like again there's like a long day motif thing that's kind of been going on through every movie, and this is the one that's like, oh, this is a 3-hour movie. There's excess. That is all we want in this movie. Excess. Right. More of everything, almost to the point where like, damn, can we move along, please? But like, no, I want all of it.
Right. Exactly.
Eventually, John and Kane face off, but John escapes thanks to a bounty hunter named Mr. Nobody, played by Shamir Anderson. I'll ask something in a little bit after this. Who decides John's current bounty isn't large enough to go after him. I believe at this point his bounty is what, 14 mil? I know it climbs again at one point in the movie.
I think so, because it goes up to 25 later. So I think it's still 14.
Okay, yeah, because remember it was 7 initially in the third movie, and it climbed like 2 or 3 times during the third movie. Yeah, but yeah, he's basically stalking John for the bounty. The scene cuts to Koji and Akira making their escape, where they stumble upon Kane. Yeah. In this really cool picturesque set. This is a dope scene.
It is.
Kane and Koji have a samurai sword fight because, of course, I got to comment for this one. Kane does come out in the end, though, and kill Koji. Yeah. Akira, filled with rage, vows revenge against Kane, but Kane suggests she not and live her life. Again, we see that Kane clearly with some empathy for Akira, because again, his daughter is basically essentially kind of like what Halle Berry's thing was. Like, they're involved in this organization, right? The High Table. Mm-hmm. They have power over Kane. They have power over Koji and his daughter, obviously, because they're all part of the organization. So he has a little bit of sympathy for Akira here. We see him basically being a dad here. Yeah. The comment I have here was, I appreciate that they didn't give Kane Daredevil level powers. Yeah. Yep. Right. Because usually when blind guys are, blind samurai, blind assassin, whatever, it's always kind of like a little bit much, you know what I mean? It's a little goofy. Obviously, he's played up a little bit more still. Like he's still like super skilled because he'll put up like a little like a motion sensor alarm.
That was so funny. Like the door, like the
it's like a doorbell basically. Yeah, or like the door
chime
alarm.
When you walk into a building, like a residence or something.
Yeah,
or a business.
And it's like it just gives him enough information to be like, okay, general area, point gun there, or put sword there. Hopefully someone's in that area. And like, you know, you see him doing all these like really heavy flurries of like attacks. Just like hopefully one of these hits, and once he makes contact, he's like, okay, cool, I got him now. You know what I mean? So it's literally him feeling with a cane or a sword, like, here we go. Now I know where danger is, and I can move myself there or away from there. And then the other comment I got here is the Kane and Koji fight. Hong Kong cinema versus Japan samurai film. This by itself could have been a film for me. Like if they made it a whole movie of just these two, I would have lost my shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, just seeing, you know, Donnie Yen and Sanada going at it, just cinema, absolute cinema.
Yeah. Then we go after the fight ends. It cuts to Winston at Sharon's grave. John, of course, somehow miraculously finds his way back to New York, where he's excommunicado, and finds him and approaches him. Winston is, you know, mourning his friend. He's like, what does the grave say? It says friend. It has some like Roman, Latin, text on it. But I guess it translates to friend.
Yeah.
I guess from what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And of course, Winston, always knowledgeable of the old ways, suggests that John invoke the tradition of a duel to the Marquis, because of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course, this is a rule.
Always a plan.
Right. Winning would free John of his high table obligations again. He would free himself, basically. But he can only request this duel on behalf of a crime family, of course.
And at this point, we're like, what, like 45 to an hour in already at this point? I think?
Just about, because that fight seems like a half hour.
Yeah.
20 minutes to a half hour long.
Very much so, very excessive.
Now, somewhere in here, it's not in my notes, but there is a different scene of the nobody, of Mr. Nobody, and the Marquis, meeting. Is that here or is that after? I don't have it in the notes, but I do want to talk about that scene.
It was around here, basically, because it was before we saw the next crime syndicate.
Yeah, because that shit was brutal, man.
Yeah,
I hate
so
that scene.
In that scene, I'm gonna summarize it kind of off the top here. The Marquis requested a contact with Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody shows up, and they're playing like sword horse polo, which just makes me, again, just like, I hate all of the high table. Just because it's like, oh, like, this is just like, oh, you're all a bunch of rich pompous ass. I hate all of you, basically. And he essentially wants to try to contract him to kill John. And, you know, again, like discussing with the whole point of Mr. Nobody wants a specific amount of money to basically retire and buy a villa. That's basically his whole thing. Just him and his dog, villa, set for life. Basically, as Mr. Nobody kind of signs on, he like surprises him, grabs his hand, stabs it through with a knife. And then he says some weird flowery bullshit about committing yourself to the cause or doing it for yourself.
Right.
Which, like, when you step back and look at it, it's like, he doesn't gain anything for committing to the cause because he's still fucking up his hand.
Right.
And if he does it for himself, like, okay, cool. He's just back to being like a regular bounty hunter, essentially, or a tracker. And it's like, this is not a good deal for him. But of course, again, rule of cool applies. We're gonna let it roll.
Right. So of course, rather than just pull the knife out, he pulls his hand out from the knife
to show conviction.
Right. Brutal. Just fucking brutal, man. Made me cringe when I saw this.
Yeah. This felt very much so like the finger chopping scene in John Wick 3. Where, you know, again, to show commitment and loyalty to a larger cause than yourself, basically. Even though he's literally just going for the money.
This is all ridiculous.
Yeah, love it.
Right.
I'm in.
Ridiculous.
I'm completely in, though.
Speaking of ridiculous, John now goes from, so talk about airline miles here.
Yeah.
He goes from New York to Japan. Then he goes to Japan, or from Japan to New York.
Back to New York.
And now he's going from New York to Berlin.
Yeah.
To go to the Ruska Roma crime syndicate headquarters, where he was basically adopted into that crime family.
Yeah, that was his family that showed up in John Wick 3.
Yeah. So in order to be reinstated, he is tasked by his adoptive sister, Katya, with killing Killa Harkin, who's played by Scott Adkins. It was
dope. Dope signing. This is dope casting for this one.
Yeah. Just, and they stick him in a fat suit, and they make him as, like, grotesque and awful as possible.
Yeah.
And this guy killed her father. Killed Katya's father, Peter,
basically Peter. Russian Peter. Peter. And then we get to, so there's a little bit like weirdness here, which I love. So John arrives at Harkin's nightclub, escorted by Klaus, portrayed by famous Berlin bouncer Sven Marquardt. Have you ever heard of this guy?
No, I had never heard
I think
I
sent you a video, though, about this guy, right?
You might have.
Okay.
I don't remember it.
So when you get a chance to look at it, but basically he's like known for being kind of like remember like the soup Nazi from
Yes.
Seinfeld? He's basically that. Like if you're trying to come into a bar, he doesn't like your vibe, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And he's like very well known for that. And he's like, again, he's like he runs shit. Like, so he's kind of like a famous person basically over in that part of the world. Yeah, we get this like really just weird, just like I am Klaus, and just smacks the shit out of John a couple times.
It's basically just Groot.
Yeah,
I am Klaus.
Yeah,
Smack. I am Klaus.
Again, and I'm thinking like, what like big moment do we need to hear like a "We Are Klaus"? I think that'd be pretty awesome. I stole that joke from Cinema Wins. I'm a very big fan of his, but this is such a good joke. I'm gonna steal it. So then he gets escorted by Klaus to, again, Harkin's nightclub. And he just so happens to meet Kane and Mr. Nobody there as well.
Because, of course, everybody's there.
Again, it's so contrived, but I love it.
I know.
I'm so in. So rather than fight, they play a game of 5-card draw, where Harkin obviously counted cards or otherwise stacked the deck. He cheated. So John gets dealt the dead man's hand, ace of spades and clubs.
And the ace of spades and clubs.
Eight of spades and clubs. There we go. Yeah. Mr. Nobody gets drawn a royal flush. 1 in like 16,000 chance. I think that's a random fact. Kane has drawn a 4 of a kind 9, which is I find his reveal funny because he's like feeling the cards and like he's like, I think that's a we get 4 9s. Just kind of moves. He's very like moving along, man.
Yeah.
and then Harkin, of course, again, because he's clearly cheating here, and we all knew it was gonna happen. Flips over a 5 of a kind,
right,
and then action begins. And the comment that I have for this part is, again, we see John kick off the fight because obviously Harkin is like kind of like prodding and like kind of like he's trying to get on John to react somehow, right? John kicks off the fight by slashing Killa's neck with a playing card, adding once more to the list of everyday items that John could just kill you with.
Yep.
Again, the pencil. That was a big story.
By the way, 5 of a kind factors heavily into Blatro. You can go listen to that episode of our podcast a few episodes ago.
Yes, check out Blatro and go play Blatro.
Yeah,
it's really
while you're watching John Wick.
Yeah.
Okay, this is probably my favorite fight scene in the movie.
I think so,
honestly,
for me as well.
Because I love the neo noir kind of with the dance music in the background. I also love that everybody's just keeps on dancing.
Yeah,
I mean, you get some people that cast like an odd gaze at them every once in a while,
a little bit,
right? But then they just go right back and they start dancing again. And
like
just
someone got, like 2 dudes got wrecked with a hatchet,
right?
And like everyone's like, oh, okay, and just back to normal.
Yeah, so John, just solos Killa's entire like group, and then he ends up fighting Killa, who
this is a long fight.
Yeah, who turns out to be like Bob from Tekken, just like this big fat guy who can move and like
fast, can kick at John's head basically.
Yep.
Again, Scott Adkins, such a good casting.
Yeah,
I was so happy with this one.
Eventually, of course, though, John wins because, of course, and throws him off the balcony. Brutal death. Lands basically perpendicular to the ground on his head
on
and
his neck. On like a stairway.
Yeah, on the stairway.
Brutal sound too.
Cracks.
Like the sound is rough.
Yeah,
like I definitely was like, again in theater. I was not very full at this point because I watched it like 2 weeks late, and I remember just hearing like the full surround sound, just like oh okay. No.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Okay, you've played Doki Doki Literature Club,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Remember the scene where Natsuki has like the jump scare moment and
her
eyes, and the neck snaps and then comes to the television.
That very thick, deep crack sound.
Yeah, definitely that. That's what reminded me of. So of course John gets the win and then goes down and takes the trademark gold teeth off of Killa and brings them as a proof of death.
Yeah, they basically wanted him scalped, basically, but he's like, "Yeah, the tooth is fine. I got it." They need proof of his death, basically, to prove his fealty to the Riska Roma.
Mm-hmm.
John returns to the Riska Roma and performs a ritual with Katya.
Because, of course.
Yeah, because there's a ritual to be reinstated. They basically brand themselves with like a cauldron, because he got branded once before with the seal, right, the rosary. Mm-hmm. And then with the Riska Roma ties restored, John is now formerly part of a crime syndicate family again, and is now able to challenge the Marquis to a duel.
Because they couldn't just go through Bamboo HR or something like that and just like get him. Of course, there has to be a whole ritual and all this other shit. Because this fucking movie.
Again, I'm in.
Right.
The important part is that I'm in.
I know. So now add more frequent flyer miles to John's total here. He flies to Paris to meet the Marquis. So go ahead. Okay. I'll let you go.
In Paris, John and the Marquis decide on the duel's parameters. They sit at this really cool table. They got this cool scene with the cards and all this stuff.
Because, of course, they can't just, like, negotiate.
No.
It has to be a bunch of...
It's chance.
Giant glass cards on a table.
Yeah, or like metal cards on a glass table. Yeah,
Something like that.
Very satisfying, but like very satisfying sound design.
Yeah.
It has to be chance. It's to be quote unquote fair,
Right.
Because clearly this is the only time that basically John's gotten a fair chance at anything.
That's
and
true.
it's side tangent here. So as they're setting up the fight with whatever weapons they wanted to be at, what time it's gonna be at, location, you can tell that John just like. Now,
Yeah,
guns,
I saw that.
right now. Let's fucking do this. And the Marquis like, tomorrow morning, because
Right.
I got a plan, hopefully.
Yeah.
And he's like, blades, because I know that because at the end of it, he basically chooses Kane as his essentially his stand-in, his pinch hitter,
His champion, because
Yeah.
of course that's how this works.
Yes, exactly. And we get a funny little thing here from Kane, where he's just like, nah, I'm good, not doing it. Again, because Kane is just not feeling it basically from the high table. And eventually, what was decided upon, because again, random chance of the metal cards, dueling pistols at sunrise the following day at the Sacré-Cœur, in a meeting moderated by the Harbinger and the table's emissary. I forgot his name. He's been in a lot of stuff too, but he's got a fantastic beard and fantastic voice. I know his name and I keep forgetting it. The Marquis nominates a reluctant Kane to take his place, while the Harbinger warns that both John and Winston will be executed should either fail to appear on time. And that is a very big point. We're going to get a really fun piece out of that afterwards.
The Harbinger is played by Clancy Brown.
Thank you. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got that like very big authoritative voice. Because even when he shows up in the beginning, you know what I mean, like to tell Winston and Sharon.
Yeah, he's got a very familiar voice. He's Mr. Krabs.
I mean, okay, sure. We're gonna take Mr. Krabs obviously as first and foremost of his
This
credits.
changes the entire movie for me. John me boy.
John Wick me boy. You're killing on me employees. I don't know if you guys can tell. Clearly, we're very tired. Our brains are
Hey, listen. Only one of us is tired. Well, I'm always tired.
You're pretty tired.
That's my secret. Cap. I'm always tired.
Oh god.
That's really funny. It
Yeah,
just
that's
changes
really
the entire fucking movie for me now.
Okay, back to business.
All right,
here.
yeah.
John tends to business, quote unquote, and meets with the Bowery King. He's basically prepping, right? Who arrives in Paris to give John a pistol and a new ballistic suit. And again, we get it anytime.
The best buddies are together.
Yeah, anytime that they're together, and we just get to see Morpheus. I'm just gonna go and call him Morpheus. We all know we all know he's Morpheus at this point, because again, he knew John. They met John forever ago. He may not remember. Anytime he's on screen and he just like outbursts randomly, I'm just like, yeah, dude, whatever you fucking want to say. He can be saying pee pee poo poo. I'm like, yeah. What is that, bro? I'm down.
There's a lot of bird poop from the pigeons that he has.
He just has this big, kind of like boisterous persona that he's kind of like really, really laying into. And again, it's like, whatever he wants to do, I'm just down.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, he preps on with a new suit and new pistol. What is that? Pit Viper, I think he called it.
Yeah.
And actually, the gun actually ended up showing up in real life. They ended up selling it actually, I believe, as a custom pistol. It is sick looking. It's like $8,000 or some shit. I'm like, yeah, absolutely not.
I'm good.
We also get an exchange between Winston and John. There's a bit more interaction here, and then eventually John, clearly who's been racking his brain again around it, John said, "I would like to have a loving husband, as what he would want on his gravestone," and very not subtle foreshadow, basically.
Right.
And, again, in a possible acceptance of his fate, basically at the end of this whole ordeal. However, the Marquis, being a complete shitbag and determined to prevent John from even reaching the duel, places a massive $26 and then $40 million bounty on his head, unleashing every assassin in Paris.
Yo, okay, so I have two notes for this.
Okay.
Number one, if I had a nickel for every time I heard somebody use a French cover of Paint It Black, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. This and Talladega Nights.
Oh my God, you're right. I forgot. I completely forgot about that. Because I popped off super hard when I started hearing Paint It Black.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I should have known. I love Talladega.
Yeah. When Jean-Pierre, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, is I don't know the lore behind the cover. All I know is that he had the Paint It Black cover when he was winning. It was like the montage when he was winning all the races. And then, second of all, this bitch is a fucking narc. This bitch is a fucking narc.
She's hired. She's hired by the high table. She's in on it.
She is a fucking narc, and she keeps on telling everybody where John is. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a sick man in black.
A wicked man, yeah.
A wicked man in black. Shut up, narc ass bitch. Snitches get stitches.
Yeah, and she calls it so thanks to the radio host, again, the one that Jeff is very clearly upset with, who's a complete fucking narc, his words.
Yeah.
Through repeated quote unquote shout outs to John using semi-coded, not that coded, it's pretty kind of obvious, to announce his whereabouts all throughout the city. I really like this cover.
Yeah.
I know, like, classical rock fans will be like, kind of like, oh, this is blast. This cover fucking rules. I don't care what anyone says.
Fine.
And then what follows is another relentless gauntlet of just action, beginning with John fighting enemies in the chaotic streets around the Arc de Triomphe in a high-speed shootout. This is him drifting to pick up a gun off the ground.
Insane.
I'm gonna tangent here. This is one of those like scenes where I was like, it kind of gave me like a false sense of security of like, I could probably get hit by a car and be fine. Because everyone here is just getting run over and just continuing until they get shot.
Right.
There's just so much action here. And then after we get a bunch of murder at the Arc de Triomphe, he then faces off a bunch of killers inside of an abandoned building, which this is I think this is like the shot of the movie. Yeah. This is basically it. Where the camera follows him in a breathtaking top-down tracking shot as he eliminates foes with incendiary shotgun rounds.
Yeah, that gun is cool. That gun is cool as shit.
So, fun fact, that ammunition is called Dragon's Breath. It was featured in Call of Duty like a year or two ago.
Right.
And it is real.
It's legal in Connecticut and Pennsylvania, so I'm considering taking it to a firing range because I really want to try it out.
I just want to experience it, you know what I mean? And this top-down action scene is so nuts. Again, excess. We're just talking about excess here. That's I feel like that's like a majority of this movie. The long take has one goon. I'm gonna use the old term of goon. One goon shot and ignited. Right. I believe it's like the third guy who gets shot. Right. Walks off screen because he's on fire. He's panicking. He comes back on screen a couple seconds later, still on fire.
Right.
Before getting finished off by John with another shotgun shot. Like, this is such a crazy choreographed scene. I love this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's broken up into two sets.
Yeah.
Right? So the first one, I believe, is about like 13, 14 seconds, which is like, that's an eternity in like, like in movies, right? Because again, they want to cut all the time to create the tension and the act. And then the next one's again, like another like 10-second shot. Yeah. It's like, it's so good. I love this. I love the scene.
So while this is all going on, Mr. Nobody shows up again, right?
Yep,
because
still tracking John.
Because he was the one that got the bounty risen, right? So that he would go after John Wick.
He called the Marquis.
Yeah.
Basically said, hey, man, there's a lot of people after him, but he's still doing his shit.
Right.
No one's stopping him.
Right.
Bump it. And then I'll finally go after him.
So at this point, Mr. Nobody meets up with Chitty, the high table's like number one.
Yeah,
which is always funny to me because when I think Chitty, I think my friend from college who's like a Nigerian guy, not this Eastern European guy,
large Italian dude or whatever he is.
Whatever he is. Yeah. Some kind of what's the Family Guy line? He's some kind of Spanish or something.
Yeah.
So Chitty basically is fighting with Mr. Nobody, gets into a situation where he has Mr. Nobody's dog like at gunpoint. He just has to pull the trigger and he's dead. John, obviously,
while John and Mr. Nobody were kind of in their own conflict.
Right. Obviously, John was not going to let a dog get killed again. Yeah. So he fucking blasts Chitty.
In the bulletproof suit.
Yeah.
Again, reminder, bulletproof suit.
Right. And then
he falls off of a railing to a floor down.
Yeah.
I thought he was dead.
Right. But of course not.
Yeah, no. We'll see him again in a little bit.
Right. And then now Mr. Nobody immediately face turns is like, this is my friend.
Yeah. He's like, I appreciate that John was like, I don't need. Also, thank you for again, just to Helsky here for not making us see another dog get shot.
Yeah.
Or not another dog, another animal get murdered in the middle of a movie. Again, kind of goes to maybe a little bit weird how I feel more compelled to not see another animal get murdered.
Right.
Versus the horde of people that did get murdered in this movie.
Adult men, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They are not free from sin.
No.
Animals are free from sin. And that's why it's difficult to watch animals and children die because they are free from sin.
Yeah. So Mr. Nobody abandons his pursuit of John. That's kind of the important part.
Yeah.
After John saves his dog.
Not just abandons, but now is sympathetic to his cause.
A little bit, yeah. We'll see, especially in the coming scene. damn, this is the rough one. This is the
Yeah.
like, love the scene. I still think that the overhead shot is still my favorite scene. This is like heartbreaking in some parts. So, John, they make their way out of a building via a window, and up on the street again on a different street, and this giant stone stairway. Yeah, John basically ends up with another grueling extended fight sequence on a seemingly endless staircase leading up to the sacred core. Just as John nears the top after murdering a bunch of dudes, he's knocked down the stairs by Chidi. Chidi shows up again, forcing him to fight his way back up with the help of his reluctant allies, Kane and Mr. Nobody, who ultimately saves John's life.
Yeah, and somebody basically has John dead to rights, and Mr. Nobody like picks him off. Right? Is that here or is that?
It was here again. It's Chidi again.
Yeah.
So my comment. I have a comment here. I saw this movie in theaters, and I remember again, not super filled, not super empty. I remember during the first scene the first time John falls down the stairs when Chidi just basically launches him. Right, he kicks him down. I believe. The first time there's just this like sense of dread.
Yeah.
And then relief because John catches himself at like one of the one of the platforms, right? And then Chidi, as he slides down after John, picks his ass up and just launches him again. And when you see the rest of it, and you just hear this like, oh man, just like this like sense of defeat from the rest of the audience. And I was like, I feel so bad for John right now. Like I was like, this is terrible.
Also, put your fucking legs out, man. You know how to fall downstairs. You're a world class trained assassin. Put your legs out, grab onto something. Come on, man.
Yeah, we see him like kind of barrel rolling to protect his head essentially. But it's like, just stop it, man. Like just grab onto something. Just like please. Again, heartbreaking sequence. And then at the bottom of the stairs, that's when we see the Kane and John team up, basically. Yeah. Again, good stuff. Just more insanity. Again, Kane being like the blind man, still kind of like he just hears sounds and basically starts reacting in like general directions here. And again, Chidi basically has the upper hand on John at basically at the end of this whole entire thing.
Right.
Mr. Nobody, again, out somewhere, not in the action, shoots Chidi, so he basically doesn't kill John right then and there. And then Kane smacks him, and then because Chidi says you can't kill me. He's like, yeah, but I can hit you. So he just knocks the shit out of Chidi, basically. And then John and Kane make their way up the stairs, and then Mr. Nobody comes back in, and he says, "You hit my dog," as Chidi's on the ground, basically trying to like reach for a gun.
Yeah,
blast Chidi in the head. Chidi's officially done. Now he's finally dead.
Not before balls. That's all he says is just balls.
Yeah, just balls
or nuts or something.
Nuts,
and the dog, of course, just grabs Chidi's nuts and starts, mauling his nuts.
And that's throughout the movie. He like Mr. Nobody will just yell nuts.
Yeah,
and then the dog just missiles. And it was.
You want to stop a dude in his tracks.
That's it. Yeah.
All's fair in love and war, man.
And then after he puts the bullet into Chidi's head, the dog pisses on him.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Good stuff.
Masterpiece.
Again, exactly what
you
for.
wanted.
Yeah.
Because as long as they're not farting on his balls, it's fine.
It's perfectly
Mauling
fine.
them is fine.
Not breaking any of the rules of the organization. Okay, and here we go. Here's the last bit here. We finally got here after almost 3 hours.
Right.
At the duel, they make it there with like a minute to spare.
Yeah.
John and Kane take turns firing. They take simultaneous turns, right? Technically, like it's like a Western duel basically.
Yeah.
They're told like 3, 2, 1 draw or whatever. Firing each other from decreasing distances. They have to step closer like by 10 paces or whatever every time. After several shots, while both have been hit and John specifically appears gravely wounded, the Marquis, eager to finish John off himself, arrogantly steps forward to take the final shot.
The coup de grace.
However, John had not yet fired his last round, and we get this really just like Winston is very frank, like you fool.
Right. He hasn't fired his shots.
Then the quick turn to John, and John just there, bang, bitch, gah.
Right. So you get the one thing I always appreciate about these films is that we always get the pint of blood, the pint of flesh that we want, the pound of flesh that we want. We see the people we want to see die.
Yes, exactly.
And it's very satisfying to watch the Marquis die.
Again, Bill Skarsgård. I don't hate Bill Skarsgård. I hate the characters he plays because he makes himself so goddamn hateable.
Like I said, the clown that eats children is more likable than the Marquis de Sade here or whatever.
It's rough. So John then shoots and kills the Marquis, securing victory for all. Winston regains control of the New York Continental, and the high table acknowledges John's freedom.
Right, yeah. Mr. Krabs is like, John, me boy.
John,
you're free.
Boy,
you're free. Mr. Winston, you got your hotel back.
And a promotion. God. And yeah, again, like the thing is, like, it has to be rebuilt. I think he specifically says, like, we have to. Well, you'll get it back. Like, we'll rebuild it for you, basically. The reinstatement of the Continental and the rebuild of it.
If you're listening and you're artistically inclined, please draw the marquee, not the marquee, the Harbinger as Mr. Krabs.
Oh my God, please! I'm begging you, please do that. I would love this so much.
All right. So now everything's done and the adrenaline has worn off. John collapses on the steps of the Sacré-Cœur. And just has a flashback of Helen, and the scene cuts to black. We believe that John has succumbed to his injuries and has died. Because the next scene is Winston, the Bowery King, and the dog are all at John's grave, marked loving husband, as per his request, buried right next to Helen. And Winston says his final goodbye. You know, the two guys have just like a short little thing. Where is he gone? I don't know. You think he's in heaven or hell? And you know, Winston's like, I don't know. Kind of keying to me that because he's not dead, he's not actually dead, that he doesn't know where he went. It could just be also because this is the John Wick series, and of course it has to end with I don't know where he could be.
Because they don't want to close the door on it yet. They're not sure they want to kill off their baby yet, basically.
He goes over, what's his name? Winston goes over, touches the grave. I didn't notice this, that he had the Ruscaroma tattoo under his sleeve.
So this is my addition to this.
Yeah.
So during Winston's final scene, we see him reach out to touch John's gravestone, exposing a Ruscaroma tattoo from under his sleeves, and him bidding John farewell in Russian. We didn't really hear a lot from Winston speaking Russian specifically. Das vidanya, mой сын. Farewell, my son. And credits roll.
Because of course, the German crime family based in Berlin.
No, Russian. Ruscaroma.
But Berlin is in Germany.
That was their base for some reason, yeah.
But the Ruscaroma is in Germany.
Yeah, basically.
And they're speaking Russian. All right. Because of course.
Versus with Ian McShane, who is clearly very British, or very English anyway. I don't specifically remember where he is. At least with his accent. Like there's no Russian at all, and like that he throws out with the really thick Russian accent or anything. He just speaks with this like basically English tone the entire time. And just like, oh, what? Is that his actual son? And then there's a roll credits like hitting a brick wall. It's like, excuse me? I've been watching for 3.5 hours. What do you mean?
Right. Plus the other 9 hours that I've been watching of this series up until this point. And you're telling me that the guy that runs the fucking hotel is John's dad the whole time?
Just whiplash, basically. Right. And then, here you go. You finish this one off.
And then, of course, you know, we get the post-credit scene. We get to see Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet recruit John Wick. No, I'm just kidding. We see a young lady playing violin in the middle of the street in China, Japan, North Korea, South Korea.
I think they specified exactly where it was. At least I don't recognize it. It's definitely Europe because of the signs.
Okay, so
but we see a little bit of it before because again it was teased earlier in the movie where it was Kane watching his daughter.
Right.
Yep. And he was going to school for music, essentially. Right.
And so Kane, now with his newfound freedom, thanks to the death of the Marquis, is going to go see his daughter playing, you know, violin on some kind of street corner, right? She's a street musician.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to him, because he's, you know, Kane the blind guy, Akira is approaching him with a blade, and the scene just cuts to black. Because, of course, now we get two things that we were like, wait, what? What happened?
Yeah. Again, just two brick walls for us to run into. I know when and that's the official end of the movie now.
Yeah.
And I remember as soon as I saw that scene, so I didn't see that one in theater because at that point I had to pee so bad. So I ran out of theater.
Yeah.
I was like, hopefully I can go quickly and then come back before the end, the post credit scene. Didn't make it. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll watch the whole scene when I get home. I watch it. And then I was like immediately read it. You know, like I was like, okay, what's happening with John Wick? What's happening with the series? Like, you know, any confirmation on any of the actors? Is Keanu done with the movie series? Is Stahelski done? Clearly not, because again they did the Continental, and then they have Ballerina coming out later this year. And then essentially is like the rumor is that Akira will be like the new main star if they decide to continue with this movie going forward. We'll see. They'll see how it feels in terms of having her as the main star for a bit.
Right.
Again, these are all rumors, because again, as you mentioned, John's quote unquote death is not confirmed.
Right.
Right? Because again, they don't know where he says he's basically insinuating, has John gone to heaven or to hell? I don't know. Is that code? I don't know either.
Right.
There's a whole lot going on here, basically.
Right.
But yeah, so essentially the rumor is right now is that Akira will be the next major next lead essentially for the continuation of the John Wick series.
Okay.
Because again, they don't want to close the door on Keanu. Obviously, this is also like, even though it's like, it's Stahelski and Leach's project, this is their baby. Keanu's like at this point, like this is, I think I can safely say, this is now John's most, or is Keanu's most iconic role.
Yeah, you think?
I think so. Even over Neo, I think John Wick is like exploded in a different sense, right? Because obviously the Matrix initially when it first came out was insane for its like cinematography and its action scenes, but then 2 and 3 were, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But and you mentioned it before, the John Wick series, the movies just got better every time. You know what I mean? And I think genuinely more people actually might know Keanu now as John Wick versus
more than Bill and Ted.
Yeah, I think so.
More than The Devil's Advocate.
Did you watch the latest Bill and Ted movie?
I have not.
I heard it wasn't like. I heard it's more just like if you're a fan of the old one, you probably enjoyed it. And it was like other than that, it was kind of fine. But that's why I think Keanu is genuinely more known as John Wick at this point, especially because like it's such a bunch of different media at this point now too, right? There's video games. There's he's in Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
what about Shadow the Hedgehog?
That's pretty big, but he only was in one movie there so far for it.
That is true.
And he's not the. I mean, yeah, he's part of the main story for it, but he's not the main focus.
Oh, he's the DLC for Shadow and Shadow Generations. I'm looking at the Wikipedia
You're
now.
Right. You're right. Okay, that's fair.
I don't know. There's a lot of Sonic fans.
There are a lot of Sonic fans. They're very dedicated. That's the important part too for the Sonic fans. I'm gonna stick my guns here. I think John Wick is probably the.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just busting
I know.
Bigger than Speed?
I think so. There are a lot. I think, especially. Don't forget, we're old.
I know.
And there are. I've talked to some of my younger coworkers, and like I've never seen Speed. Don't forget, Speed came out.
I know. Came out a long time ago.
80 was it 80s or was that a 90s movie, right?
Speed is 94.
94. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even then, I probably wouldn't even be able to watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because Aladdin came out in 1992, and I barely remember that. Just the entire world, the world building of it. I know we've insinuated how childish it feels like to some extent, right? Because it feels very video gamey, right? They have their own currency, they have their own set of rules that they have to abide by. Right. It feels very video. It's like you're allowed to play and commit chaos within
this world. Right. Like I kept saying, it reminded me so much of the South Park, the Stick of Truth and the Fractured But Whole kind of universe where it's like the world is happening around these kids and it's like you have to remember that there's a whole world happening, the regular world, the real world is happening outside of them, and it doesn't care about these, the game that they're playing basically. So it's funny that like I just keep going back to it, but thinking about what was it, the second one or the third one where him and Common are having the shootout in Grand Central.
One.
And it's just like people are just walking to work, and you get these two guys just shooting at each other.
No one else is allowed to die, right? You know what I mean? Because it seems like it, at least anyway, from all the movies, civilians aren't allowed to get hurt,
right?
You know what I mean? Like even if they were shooting, even like that like weird Coliseum scene after he had killed what's her name, Italian dude's sister,
Gianna.
They started shooting immediately at each other. Didn't hit a single civilian.
Right.
So yeah, again, kind of like they play within their own rules, within this own kind of like little bubble of their own world that the outside world just kind of continues on without them. Do you genuinely rank this higher than the other movies?
I rank them in order.
You rank them directly
4,
in order?
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Every one is better than the last one. I feel like, at least.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Usually what? Like the second movie is usually the weakest in like a trilogy, right? Obviously we're breaking the trilogy.
Right. It depends. It depends on what trilogy it is.
But like I think I've always kind of heard that like as a trope or like a general consensus in a lot of trilogies. The second one's usually the weaker one. Right. It's like they don't know where to go specifically direction wise with it.
Right. And a lot of it is leading to the crescendo, which usually takes place in the third one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So usually that's what ends up happening. But yeah, for me, and I saw it on Metacritic too, so don't take my word for it.
Yeah. The
Metacritic has 4, 3, 2, 1 in order from highest to lowest as well. I mean, granted, the lowest is still high, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Or at least Rotten Tomatoes has it ranked rather highly. I think Metacritic might be a little more like rigid in its rating, but the Rotten Tomatoes scores are definitely higher.
I've got a fun thing here. I did this in the first and second movie episodes, I think. But the kill count.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So John Wick's kill count throughout all 4 movies is only 439.
Wow.
The first movie only had like 70 something. Like it was surprisingly low. You know what I mean? Like for what we thought was like him just mowing down nameless goons the whole movie, right? But yeah, no, again, after 4 movies, 439 kills, and specifically for the 4th one, reported at 151.
Okay.
So still the most though.
Yeah.
Still the most kills in the entire series so far.
Right. Well, we demand more blood.
Yeah. Again, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, which again I'm perfectly fine with, just because again it got more and more absurd, and again kind of plays into this kind of thing, theme of like excess of this whole movie. Like again, this movie's 3 and almost 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Excessive.
Right. So funny you should mention that. I watched this at 1.25 speed because I had to get through it. Like within the course of a work day.
Yeah.
With all the stopping and whatnot. So like I watched this film at 1.25 speed, and it's fucking sick watching it fast. I did watch like the end when John is bleeding on the steps. I did revert it back to 1.0 at that point because I had no time constraints.
Yeah, dramatic moment.
So I was like,
also dramatic moment. You want to let it sit.
Let me just watch it as is. But yeah, the fight scenes at speed up are pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm sure, absolutely. There's one little thing I want to expand upon here, where again this kind of goes to like the whole mystery of like, is John actually gone or not, right? Specifically after he had killed the Marquis, and before he sits down on the steps of the soccer court, right? He asked Winston, he's like, "Can you bring me home?"
Yeah.
And then of course Winston he's like, "Yes, of course.
Right.
Whatever you say, I'll take care of you." Again, hinting like, bring my body home. Yeah. I like, it doesn't not confirmed either way, right?
Right.
But just in that kind of like exchange, it's just this like, kind of weight finally settling down. It's like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then we get to see him sit down, fully unload all of his shit. Like, you take the belt off.
It's just like everything is coming off.
Get it off me. I need to be comfortable for this last little bit that I want. If this is the last bit of my life, I want to at least be comfortable.
Right.
So we see him like, and then sit down, think about Helen, and then basically, pass out on the steps.
Fade to black. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even in the crazy hecticness of this, whole series, they do have these moments of like, of weight. You know what I mean? Like, even though it feels so nonstop all the time, just bang, 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 action, go, go. And then we finally get a breather, and it's just like, it's not the most emotional scene, obviously. Right. I'm not going to cry in the theater for it, but it's just like a moment of like,
it's a different kind of punch.
This is it.
Yeah, it's a different kind of punch.
And it just had this moment of finality to it, basically.
And it humanizes these characters that are just like these bloodlust monsters that are just fucking killing everybody. Same thing with when Kane and John Wick end the duel, and Kane runs over to John after he shoots the Marquis, and he lifts him up. He's like, "You owe me."
Yeah. A little bit of detail for that duel too, right? Yeah. So they started like 30 paces or whatever, right? They're using these like old dueling pistols.
Of course.
These motherfuckers were not accurate. I don't know, like, have you read like a bunch of like stuff like American duels, right? They're not accurate. So like, but the fact that like they're planning it, that like, oh, I'm gonna wing Kane. You know what I mean? He's like, he's gonna hit him in the arm or hit him in the side where he's not gonna kill him. I'm like, you can't plan that at all with a dueling pistol. Right. This could have just went errantly wrong and just shot Kane for a shot or killed John right off the bat. But they take the shots forward, and it's funny because again, like Kane just has this like, oh, I got hit. Oh, nice shot though. kind of moment.
Right.
And it's like at least even in that moment, there's a little bit of levity, even though you think like, oh, one of these motherfuckers is gonna die right here. Like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like, because obviously at this point now you're committed to Kane. You're empathetic to him or sympathetic to him. You were sympathetic to Mr. Nobody. Obviously to John because he's been our dude for the last 4 movies, right? And just the scene from like, again, during the second to last shot, and Winston's just like, just kill him, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, just kill him. Like, I don't, because again, if John dies, Winston also gets fucking murdered too, basically. So he's like, I know he's your friend, but just
you got to do this.
Just kill him, man. And then again, like, didn't realize. And then again, John had the plan all along, kind of thing. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård does a good job in this movie.
Yeah,
again,
he did. He did a really good job.
French accent, solid accent. It didn't feel fake. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just the shittiest person.
Yeah.
Just throughout the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
Just every time he's on screen, just like, get this motherfucker up.
Right.
I hate him.
And that extends to his end where they just like pack up and leave. And he's just laying there dead.
Even the Harbinger, right? The Harbinger is like, okay, cool. Business is done.
Yep. All right, guys.
See ya.
See you later. And everybody just comes out of nowhere, starts loading up the table, loading up the guns. It's like they're just breaking everything down.
Yeah, just bring down a set, basically.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool. We're done. Okay.
All right.
That's not a problem anymore. Whatever.
We're good to go. All right, me boys.
Clean up.
Time to go.
I love this series. I'm so excited still for Ballerina to come out. I still have to catch up on the Continental, actually, the show itself.
Same. Something to do.
I'm glad I got to bring you down this whole ride.
Yeah,
basically.
It's been fun. Obviously somebody that loves action movies. It's been fun to go along for the ride and all the silliness that comes with it. I hope people see through me, making a joke out of everything. Like the series is awesome. I love it.
Well, that's the thing. We joke about it because we enjoyed it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not because we're trying to dig on the movie whatsoever.
Right. No, definitely not.
It just, we find like references to other stuff that, kind of makes us think of the movie. And then I this is still like one of my this is like my workout movie. Like if I'm on the treadmill, I'm like, I need to bang out like an hour. I'm like, oh, easy. Just throw on John Wick 1.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then so if I need to keep going, just drop the movies in order. But yeah, again, I'm really I'm excited to see more of this. I'm perfectly fine if the movie does end, the series does end at some point. Because it's always like, even though the movie's all gotten better,
right?
It's like, ooh, where does this turn?
Right.
Where does it turn where we start to be like, this was fine.
Right. This is the first one that isn't as good as the last one.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about. And obviously, like Ballerina, cautious optimism because again, like Keanu's supposedly not in this one at all.
Right.
New character. So it's technically a side story of the Oscar Roma, and I was like, I'm hoping it's good.
And Keanu's 60 years old.
Yeah.
So like, I know Liam Neeson's still out here doing it as like 70-year-old. But how much more of this can Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. John is kind of like encompassed Keanu to some extent. I'm saying it. But yeah, like and you can see it as well in the movies, right? Because John's just getting his ass whooped constantly, right? Right. Or just like not necessarily but getting beat down every movie. It's like he's slowing down, right? Yeah. And it's like it almost like runs in parallel with Keanu. Yeah. You know what I mean? Again, like how much more can he do this for? Yeah. If I had my wish, he could do it forever. Right. I like we find a way to pickle Keanu's body. You know what I mean? Just preserve him. You know what I mean?
I like how you went to pickle and not cryogenically freeze.
No, because I immediately thought of like Head in a Jar. Yeah. Futurama. Yeah. I was like, oh, but we need the rest of his body though. We need him to do the stunts. Unless we can get the headless body of Agnew. Yeah. I would love to see him do more and more of this, and I'm sure he wants to. He likes doing these movies. Right. He does it for the fans. It is art, right? It's literally just a graphic novel, neon noir graphic novel just brought to life on screen. Yep. But again, like how much more can we get from this whole world that was basically just one novel? It was only supposed to be John Wick 1. Yeah. And they've expanded it to 4 full movies, HBO series, and then now side stories. Like how much can we get out of this that plays nicely with all of the established lore and doesn't insult the audience and the previous material that's already been brought up. Yep. So, again, cautiously optimistic for the upcoming stuff. And Jeff, thank you so much for sitting through this entire series.
Yeah, it's been fun.
This is our longest series, technically, on the show, on the podcast.
Well, I mean, it's the only one that's gone 4 editions. Yeah. I mean, so, like, I mean, I guess we could go back and play, I don't know, something else. Yeah. That's been multiple games. You can play all the Street Fighters if you want.
We could do that, yeah. But listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning. So I think we've kind of covered everything here on our end. If you guys have listened to all 4 of the John Wick episodes, thank you. Yeah, genuinely thank you. Again, I'm proud of this. Again, kind of mini series within our own show. Hope you guys enjoyed our just kind of like summarizing the movie and kind of rambling about how dope this fucking movie, this whole series is. If you guys liked it, share us with a friend. We are on all the audio streaming platforms. Leave us a like, leave us a review. We really, really appreciate the support. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.
Don't fart on anybody's balls.
Yeah. My nephew's smart. He's a good kid.
Right.
She told me he's got a 3.8. I was like, yeah, that's definitely not from my side of the family.
Right.
I was a solid C student, baby.
Hell yeah.